Ciao, it's Vicky here. Today I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of the Forbidden Library Gauntlet. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to complete this dungeon. Thank you for joining and I hope you enjoy the video.
Another intruder! We who have sworn the Archivist's oath will defend this library to the last... Oh, forgive me. I see now you are no thief. The Immortals must have guided you here, my friend. Within these walls are manuscripts of the most malignant and unstable magic, expertly catalogued and contained by the Order of Archival Mysteries. These are no ordinary books. Each has a will of its own, and their only aim is mayhem and destruction. The Order has labored for centuries to guard them. But now a nefarious bibliomancer is here, rifling through the pages of Zeus knows what. Will you help stop him before it's too late? I will serve as a guide where I can.
So this next room is Imogen. She is the assistant of the, villain for this dungeon. So she will be our first fight. There's only one cheat that I am aware of, and that's that she can cast a spell to observe what your school is, and she will cast an aura based on her observances. It could be an aura where she will receive less damage from your school specifically, or it will be an aura where she will have increased damage from your school specifically. Without further ado, let's go meet Imogen and see what she has to say.
The Order of Archival Mysteries thought they could keep this place hidden. The fools secret away any text that frightens them.
Blundering inkblots! That's not the bibliomancer. It's his research assistant. But I wouldn't underestimate her. You should see the damage she caused in the corrosive compendium section before you arrived. It'll take us a year to reshelve everything.
You'll never have the chance. Soon, Bodleian Harrow, the great bibliomancer, will be unstoppable. The unreadable book will be his. Only Bodleian could hope to decipher its unknown language. He will succeed where so many others have failed. The Order tried to conceal this tome without even knowing what it contained. But academia always leaves a paper trail. Bodleian and I combed through chronicles, followed endless footnotes, traced every reference through salvaged scraps of obscure histories. Now, the greatest discovery in all of academia is at hand. The unreadable book will be read.
Great speech, Imogen. Anyways, so soon we're about to see her cast the spell where she can observe your school. This is basically what it does. It looks at you and then she gets an aura. So because I'm school death, she got a minus 20% incoming of death spells for damage. So I do allegedly or supposedly 20% less damage of my school spells that I would cast towards her. I hope that made sense.
Time for some research!
So I believe that's her only cheat. It's the only cheat that I'm aware of that Imogen does. So due to that, I'm just gonna use my day-to-day strategy of boosting myself and eventually attacking, depending on what I pull from my cards. So I'm not really liking my options, but I'll hit anyways, and we'll see where it goes from there. I think the most important thing for this fight specifically is raising your pierce and your damage, so that regardless of her aura, you can still get a little bit of good hits and good damage done to her when you're trying to defeat her. So really focus on your pierce and damage for this fight.
Time for some research!
There we
No
go.
matter. Knowledge can't be hidden forever. The unreadable book is Bodleian's destiny.
Scribes, preserve us! Did she just say the unreadable book? This is worse than I thought.
I mean, she mentioned it like 3 other times, but yeah, sure. Listen to her now.
This Bodleian person must already be in the vault. That's where we keep the most powerful books. He must have pieced together how to get inside. To open the vault door, we must appease the immortals with an offering of their favorite book. We will find them in the other wings of the library. But take care. The rogue may have left traps for anyone who tries to follow him. Only open one wing at a time.
Okay, so as he said, we have to appease the gods in order to get into that vault. And in order to do so, you have to memorize the titles of the books of each god's favorite book. So let me put it here. In the shadow of the eclipse, that book title correlates with the god Apollo. And a good way to remember that is the word eclipse. Apollo is the sun god, so he would, of course, want the eclipse. Now, for the no more fish in the sea, that correlates with Poseidon. Good way to remember that is fish and sea. He is the god of the seas, and I forget what else, but he is a powerful god. He's one of the main 3. catching lightning in a bottle. That is Zeus. A good way to remember that is that he is the god of lightning. So use the word lightning and correlate it with Zeus. And then the final book title is excuse me, I can't really type sometimes. A grave matter in the gloom. That correlates with the god Hades, who's the god of the underworld and judge of death. So to remember that is think of the word grave and think of the word gloom, because gloom is a death spell. Okay, so let me put a picture here to help you remember that, so it's a little bit easier. So let's continue going down the dungeon. And there's 4 rooms. So each room will has its own favorite book title from one of the gods. Each room will correlate with a god. So let's say for example, room 4 is correlated with, let's say, Hecate, because her book title, Witchcraft, came up. Okay, so each room will have its own separate title, and that title, as we went over, pertains to one of the gods. So if we finish one of these rooms, it'll have a book title and a god that it correlates with. So let's start with this room number 4. It's a fight.
The of pages has freed us from our inky prison. The tome of Monstro Maleficorum no longer binds us.
We are summoned to serve the All-Reader. We cast our sight through the veil of time and see your doomed future is already written.
Okay, so in order to get a book title, we have to complete this fight. So let me fix my cards real quick because I severely overpacked. I don't need this. I don't really want that. Do this. Do those. Run through. And you'll notice that I put a lot of copies in. That's just a personal thing. Others would argue it's a problem. It can be. I do overpack my cards sometimes. But it's okay, it's how I enjoy the game. Everybody enjoys the game differently. But that looks pretty good, so let's do this fight. Never walk into a fight that you're unprepared for. You'll be sure to fail. So I'll try to make this as quick as possible, but I do want to point out that these wolves, these dog-like beasts, they would make a really cool pet. I think they have a beautiful design and they're really nice to look at. They're really pretty. And I think that it would behoove Kingsisle to make these pets, if they're not already pets, but they are just so cool and I want one. I just thought I would mention that. It's a personal opinion. also mention that there are no cheats in this room, but they do certainly have style.
You found the apocalyptic thriller, In the Shadow of the Eclipse.
Okay, perfect. So here's our first book quote. Oh, book title, not quote. In the Shadow of the Eclipse. And as we already know, that is associated with Apollo. So let's go look at this room number. Room 4. Okay, so a good way to memorize this order is by typing it and basically talking to yourself. So I'm going to put room 4 is Apollo. So each room, numbered 1 through 4. Room number 1 is a god, room number 2 is a god, so on and so forth. And that will be important for the order of the god statues that you interact with later on. So now we know room 4 is Apollo. So moving on to this room, we'll learn our next book quote. Okay, so it looks like it's the lever room. And this is actually pretty simple. It's just a timed assessment. So you're going to want to use your pet, and you're going to need to play as your pet throughout this room. So starting off like this, do that lever, play as pet, run down here. I believe it's left to right. It might be right to left. Oh gosh. Oh, right. That's right. I have to do it as the pet, and it has to be this side. Run back. This lever, pet. I'm cutting it close. I'm probably not going to make it. I might have to do it again, and that's more than okay. Yeah.
Make haste.
So I ran out of time because I went out of pet mode. So remember that in that room over there to stay in pet mode. So let's try this again. 3, 2, 1. Stay as pet. Stay as a pet over here. Interact with the lever. Run back through. Cancel pet mode. Interact with the lever. Run back through the wall. Halfway mark. Interact with it. Run back through. Cancel pet mode. And interact with the final lever.
That book is a grave matter in the gloom. A
now we
pitiful
have
tale.
This title, A Grave Matter in the Gloom, as we already know, is correlated with Hades. So this room is correlated with Hades. So let's write that down to remember. Whoops. Room 3 is Hades. So Hades should be the third statue that we interact with later on. So let's go to this room over here and see what it's got. This is room 1. Oh, so this is a fun one. We actually just have to run around and catch the scrolls. So we got one. So we have to do this about 5 times. Catch a scroll, run back, and put it in the scroll container. Now I gotta do this 4 more times. As you can see right here, it counts and keeps track of the amount of scrolls that you caught. Caught one, so we run back and deposit it into the scroll collector, container, whatever you want to call it. Go catch another scroll. It kind of reminds me of that maze game in Pet Pavilion of Wizard City. The hedge maze one. It's kind of what it reminds me of. Okay, we gotta get 2 more scrolls. I see one over here. Run back. Whoopsie. Okay, so we need 1 more. Just gotta catch this one. We caught it. So we're gonna go deposit it, and then we should get our next book title.
Oh my. That book is titled No More Fish in the Sea, a Romantic Tragedy.
Perfect. So no more fish in the sea. That's Poseidon. Okay, so look at the room number, which is right at the entryway. Room number 1 is Poseidon. So that should be the first statue that we interact with later on. Now to the final room. Let's see what it's got. Another fight.
Doom is foreshadowed. The tale of your downfall etched into the surface of time.
All foes of the literary Lightbringer shall be vanquished!
So I don't believe there's going to be any cheats in this fight, so I'm just gonna run through it with my normal strategy and try to make it as quick and easy as possible. So let's see how this goes.
found Catching Lightning in a Bottle, a how-to book.
Perfect. So, catching lightning in a bottle is with Zeus. So this room, room 2, is Zeus. I also wanted to be sure to show you guys that if you come across this room, you'll know how to get through it and pass it. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to memorize each pile of books. Okay, so I'm going to think of it this way. This one starts with a red book on top. The others start with a blue book on top. So I'm going to go in pet mode and I'm going to enter the other part of this room. So, as you already see, this one starts with red, blue, and blue, but this one starts with red. So this one is the oddball out. So I'm going to interact with it.
Ah, you found the apocalyptic thriller, In the Shadow of the Eclipse.
And there you go. So if you come across this room, you'll know what to do. Alright, let's continue with the video. I wouldn't use the books as your order, because it's the order that you did it, but it's not the order of how you should interact with the statues. That's why you should that's why you should remember number 4, 3, 2, and 1. The room numbers and what statue those room numbers correlate. These are honestly not very helpful because it's the order that you completed the rooms, not the order of how you should interact with the statues. So, the first room was Poseidon. So the first statue that we should do is Poseidon. So let's go over to Poseidon. That's not... Is it? Yes, it is. This is Poseidon. And his favorite book is No More Fish in the Sea. So he'll light up like that. The second room was Zeus. So the second statue we should interact with is Zeus. And his favorite book was Catching Lightning in a Bottle. So he'll light up like that. Then the third room was Hades. Yes, it was Hades. So we should go over to Hades. And his favorite book was A Grave Matter in the Gloom. And he'll light up. And then finally, the fourth room was Apollo. And because he's the last statue we're interacting with, it won't give us a choice of titles, so we just have to interact with it. He'll light up, and then that's over.
The vault is opening.
Nice and easy.
Listen, my friend, before you venture into the vault, I must give you this warning. Do not attempt to read the unreadable book. The legends are only half true. It did not earn its title simply for being written in an unknown language. Only members of the Order know the whole horrible reason it cannot be read. You see, books convey knowledge from one mind to another, but this book, rather than convey, it absorbs. It takes all that you know, all that you are, and twists you into an amalgam of terrible power. Many reckless villains have unwittingly vanished into its pages. We cannot let it escape.
Okay, so before challenging Bodley into a fight, I need to check my deck of cards and assess them and add what I should probably need. In the first fight, Godlian is kind of easy to defeat because he's doesn't really have any cheats in the first fight. But in the second part of that fight, when you do defeat him the first time, he turns into a shadow figure of himself. So because I am a death school, I'm going to need several converts because that shadow version has a great abundance of resistance toward my school. So I'll be sure to have those death prisms. I'm gonna use less blades because he ends up taking blades away. So it's not really nice to have those in my card deck. Feints are the same thing. He ends up taking those away, so don't use them. This might be helpful. Let's see what else I can add. I'm not really seeing a whole lot. I'll add some shadow spells. Okay, take those away. So I'm gonna try to trap. I'm gonna see how that goes because I know that we can't use feints, but I don't know if we can use actual traps. So I'll add in some traps. I'll add a lot more of these. I actually don't want that one. Okay. Okay. So we have Frenzy. Let's also put in some Berserk and some of that. Okay. I'm sure I probably overpacked quite a bit, but it's better to have more than to have less. It's better to be over-prepared than unprepared, because you never want to go to a fight unprepared. So I'm just going to run through real quick, make sure I have everything I need. That just in case. Okay. So let's begin with the fight against Bodleian.
Who are you? Ha! A stooge of the cowardly librarians who fret over forbidden lore. Those fools in their pathetic secret club waste their time cowering from greatness. Unlike the spineless order of archival misfits, I, the greatest bibliomancer to ever live, will coax the secrets from this so-called unreadable book. There is no text of any origin, written or yet undreamt of, that will not bend itself to my will. I will be the first to read the unreadable book.
So I don't want to discard my prisms because I'm going to need them for later when he reappears in the second part of this fight. So I'm going to try to hold on to that. But I still want to use some strategy here because I'm going to need to defeat this first part of the fight in order to move on to the next part. So I have to think about every single card that I discard and make sure that I truly don't need it in both parts of the fight. I want to be smart about this without overthinking it, because time is limited. Look at my options. I already used Berserk, so I don't really want to use Frenzy yet, but I also don't want to discard it. I think I'll just, hit.
I read from the restricted section.
Okay, so that was the first attempt at defeating him. Now it's on to part 2 of this battle, where he reemerges as a shadow figure of himself because he read the unreadable book. So with this part, he's going to bring it forward some books, which are kind of a pain to deal with. They're very irritating sometimes, but it's all part of the experience. So, keeping patience in mind, I'm going to put a prism on him because I know that he resists death, but he has a boost to life, so that should be helpful. And I'm going to try to save up some pips to actually attack. So first, let me put this Gargantuan onto Krulu, and then I'll put on Frenzy, and see where we go from there.
Knowledge is power. In my story, I'm the hero, and you're the villain. No weapon can defeat the written word.
Okay, I believe that is the end of this. Let me see before I speak too soon. Yep, that's the end of the fight.
Yeah.
And he's absorbed into the book itself.
Bodleian, are you in there?
Yes, it's a bit crowded in here, and quite dark. I had no idea reading this book was so dangerous. They might have posted a warning sign.
A warning sign. I should think an elaborate vault door would have given you an idea. Members of the Order are working to free the unfortunate readers in there. Their research in the last century shows promise.
Shows promise? What is that supposed to mean? Wait, where's everyone going? So I just wait here then?
The unreadable book gained a great deal of new knowledge today. But thanks to you, we still have it secured. Don't worry about Bodleian. We'll get him out, eventually. I'd wager after this ordeal he'll turn a new leaf. The Order of Archival Mysteries is eternally grateful. We are in your debt.
Okay, so that was the Forbidden Gauntlet dungeon. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see what we do next. I hope you have a wonderful week. Ciao!